The fourth thing which I think is part of this getting ready for financial inclusion large-scale has been the setting up of the NPCI, which is a Section 25 company owned by the banks. And that is now putting in place the retail payment infrastructure, which allows you to have the switching and settlements and clearing and all that of retail transactions. And that is very rapidly moving to create the backbone for this kind of interbank transactions. And then I think the fact that this anytime, anywhere banking has now been well accepted in urban India. In other words, more and more customers in urban India go to ATMs, go to point of sale, go to the internet, go to the telephone. Very rarely they go to the branch. And so increasingly the fact that you can provide financial services over technology is now a well accepted concept. And the other big thing which I believe has happened is the expansion of mobile phones. And the reason why mobile phones is an important piece of this puzzle is because the mobile phone prepaid technology essentially proved that people are willing to make small cash purchases electronically across the country. I mean, how does a prepaid phone work? You have a prepaid phone, you are living in a village where you have connectivity, you go to a grocery store, you pay some money and you top up your phone and you use that talk time and then again you go back and top up. And today, a typical top up in the mobile industry is just 10 rupees. So the fact of the matter is that today, every day, millions of people across the country in millions of retail outlets are buying 10 rupee top-ups on their phone. And you can think of that top-up time as a primitive form of payment because it's only a single purpose, it's only for talk time. But fundamentally the concept that I go to a Kirana store, I pay 10 rupees, the 10 rupees gets credited to an electronic account and I get 10 rupees worth of talk time on my mobile phone, conceptually is the same as the digital cash. And therefore the mobile phone prepaid top-up concept has now made millions of Indians familiar with the notion that you can keep your balance on the cloud or somewhere in space because that's how talk time works. So I think all the pieces are now falling into place to allow all these things to come together. Now, what is it that is required? We believe that the final piece of that puzzle is having this identity infrastructure. Because you need to have a quick, reliable and simple way of proving the person is the person he claims to be. And that's where the Aadhaar or UID infrastructure comes in. So what does Aadhaar do and why is it important in this equation? First, it provides an all-India identification number. The number that we give, as Mr. Malya said, is a 12-digit random number. That random number is useful anywhere in the country, which means I can get my number in a village in Bihar and that number is valid in Delhi or Mumbai. And therefore having this nationally portable online number is very, very important. The second is that we are creating an open platform. In other words, you can use this number online anywhere in the country. So it's an open interoperable platform and interoperability is very, very important if you want to get large-scale financial inclusion. The third is that it provides real-time authentication. In other words, you go somewhere and claim that you're person X, then the request will come to a server and come back in a few seconds, and therefore you get real-time authentication of identity. And we can link this identity to a bank account or to a cell phone. In other words, we can say that this is an Aadhaar-linked bank account, or you can say this is an Aadhaar-linked mobile phone. So being able to link it to a bank account and a mobile phone is very, very important. And this provides for very easy identity verification across the country. That's very important. And the important thing is that it's a unique number and it's only one number per person. So one person equal to one number equal to one person. So that means you can very conclusively say that it is that person. And having this low-cost identity infrastructure which runs across the country and is available online real-time is a very fundamental component to all the other pieces I just described to really bring all of the financial inclusion together. And that's why I feel that it is at a tipping point. Now, how does it help us? First of all, I talked about the problem earlier of the KYC issue. Now, why is the KYC issue a challenge? On the one hand, we are expecting more and more documents about people. On the other hand, if you really want to do financial inclusion, if you really want to give a bank account to everyone in this country, the people who are most likely to want it but don't have any form of identity. And if you're going to insist on a lot of documents to prove who they are, and they're not able to prove who they are, then they can't open a bank account. And we are seeing that happen. Even in urban India, in the slums of urban India, most people don't have bank accounts, primarily because they're not able to prove who they are. And what we are doing now is we are working with the regulators, and we're working with the Reserve Bank and the Ministry of Finance to say that an Aadhaar number is equal to KYC to open at least a no-frills account. So that conversation is going on, and we're getting a very positive response, and we hope to have that notification coming soon. Now, when that notification comes, what it means is that if you have an Aadhaar number, then that is sufficient KYC to open a bank account. And given the fact that an Aadhaar number can be verified online, I can walk into a particular location, I can authenticate myself, fill in all the details, and open a bank account. And therefore, the fact that you can now go to opening bank accounts electronically reduces one of the big barriers of entry which we had, which is that you can do it instantaneously. And because the Aadhaar number online verification, you will actually have a complete audit trail of that authentication request. So you have proof of the fact that he came and got himself authenticated online. And also now the identity essentially is being done by UID, and therefore that allows banks to open accounts in a big way. So therefore we think that having Aadhaar equal to KYC is a huge driver which will help us in banking inclusion. And what we found, we started enrolling on September 29th in Nandurbar, and so far we have enrolled more than 200,000 people. And when we enroll these people, we are asking a question on the enrollment form: do you want a bank account? 80% of the people want a bank account. So that is the kind of data which we are collecting, which shows the sort of latent demand for bank accounts. And the good news is that we are collecting data, and that data is available in bulk for the banks to use to open accounts. So not only Aadhaar equal to KYC, you have the electronic data with the consent of the person to open bank accounts, which means that if we enroll a million people in a slum of Delhi, then those million people can immediately open a million bank accounts because it's all in bulk. So instead of having to go through the painful process of opening each account, we can now open accounts in bulk, which is why I think that we'll be able to solve. So one big advantage we have is the fact that now KYC is really going to become much, in fact, a non-issue in the model that we propose. The second thing, so that addresses the account opening part of it. The other problem we have is how do we provide remote access? Now, remote access is how do we make sure that every village have banking services? And that's where, now one part of that is obviously say I'll have a business correspondent, I'll have an agent and all that. But it is not sufficient to have a business correspondent. You need a technology platform to enable the connect. And that's where what we are proposing is called Aadhaar-based micro ATM. This micro ATM was jointly developed by us with the Indian Bank Association and many of the banks, many of our partner banks. The specifications for the micro ATM are there on our website, and it is being built by multiple suppliers. And currently we are doing a pilot with 4 or 5 of our partner banks, many of whom are here in Jharkhand, where we are going to use micro ATMs to make payments to people for NREGA. So clearly that will be an actual test of the micro ATMs. And we think once you have the micro ATM, then that combined with the business correspondent allows you to take banking to the people. And this is online. This is not a batch process. This is an online process. So the way it will work is if I'm an NREGA worker, I get a payment into my account, I can go to a business correspondent, I authenticate myself by putting my finger or whatever authentication I have. Real time UIDI will come back and say, yes, this is the person he claims to be. Then he wants to say withdraw 300 rupees from his account, he can make a request. He withdraws 300 rupees. On the system, on the core banking system of the bank of this person, he'll get debited 300 rupees for the withdrawal, and the bank account of the BC will get credited 300 rupees because he has given 300 rupees cash out of his account.